Hey, this is Rachel Bolan, and this is the Carr Stereo Podcast.
Hey, it's Terrie Carr, and the Carr Stereo Podcast is live on location today. We are at Catfight Coffee on Main Street in Boonton. It's one of my favorite places in New Jersey. If you love great coffee, rock and roll, and horror, this is the place to be. It's owned by AC Slade. You may know AC from the Murder Dolls and the Misfits. He's such an awesome guitar player, such a big part of the community, and we are going big-time Jersey. I'm even wearing my TT Quick shirt as we are welcoming Rachel Bolan, talking solo music in Skid Row. We are live, Carr Stereo Podcast, taping at one of my favorite places in New Jersey. It's Catfight Coffee on Main Street in Boonton. There's such a cool vibe here. AC Slade is the owner. Of course, you know AC from his great guitar work in so many super cool bands. And speaking of super cool, and New Jersey, and legends, and icons, I am with Rachel Bolan.
I don't know how I can live up to that.
My friend, this new record lives up to it.
Thank you.
Rachel's got a great new solo record, which is coming out on June 12th. It's called Gargoyle of the Garden State. I think that is the greatest album title that I've heard in 20 years. So I first heard, you know, the first tune that you released, and then I went and looked up the album title, and I'm like, where did he get this? So let's start right there. Where did you get it?
It's interesting. I wanted to call, my first idea was to call the album Gargoyle, right? Because I love gargoyles, and I love the fact that most people don't really know that each one has this purpose that they serve, you know, some kind of mythical purpose, not to sound all weird.
I did not know that.
So there's like thinking gargoyles, and my sister actually got me a thinking gargoyle for Christmas, and it's just like this because she says that's me because I'm always thinking. And so there's thinking gargoyles and gargoyles for protection and all this stuff. So I always loved it, and the fact that people just walk by them and look at them like, oh, a gargoyle, and have no idea what purpose that they actually serve, that always like struck a chord with me. I was going to call it that. In the meantime, I decided to move. My wife and I moved back to New Jersey after I'd been gone for almost 25 years. I had moved out of Jersey in like 2000. So we moved back, and I was like, you know, I'm back in the Garden State. So I'm like, like the thinking guy that I am, I was like, I'm going to put those two together. And it's kind of a tongue twister when you first say it, which I think is kind of cool too.
Yeah. Well, Jersey lends itself to what this album lends itself to. And I got the download link. I was so excited. I could not stop listening. It's 11 tracks. It's so interesting. I think every single one except for one is under 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's very much a bang, 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 which is great. It's exactly what I expect from you. Jersey, we've always been good storytellers. This is what we freaking do in Jersey. We tell stories.
We're natural born storytellers.
Is this a love letter almost to New Jersey? Because it's like a punk rock love letter to New Jersey. That's how I felt it.
You could say that for sure. I mean, a lot of lyrically, there's a lot of regional references. You know, the Lincoln and just stuff like that. And so it like you said, we're storytellers. We're natural-born storytellers. My dad had a saying that when guys would tell a story and talk too much, he said, if you ask that guy the time, he tells you how to build a watch.
Yeah,
that's kind of all of us. So if someone starts telling you a story in New Jersey about whatever, you know, get comfortable because you're going to hear the whole thing. So that kind of translated into some of the songs. And a lot of it is just about my experience in my home state.
Yeah.
You know, and the beauty of songwriting, I think, is I could talk about whatever I want. I could write about whatever I want, and it may relate. You know, I may interpret it completely different how you interpret it, and completely different how him, and that's the beauty of music. That's the beauty of art.
Yeah. That's why I never really ask people, what is this song about? Because it's not really supposed to be about anything. You could be inspired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it could be reflective of something that you've experienced, but I hear you because people want to feel what it's about to them, what it means to them. Well, let's rewind, because I want to rewind when young James becomes Rachel.
Yeah.
When were those moments for you where you just had a vision? You had this vision for where you wanted your life to go.
I was young. Like, I remember being a little kid, and once I saw Kiss, my whole life changed. Like, everything. Once I saw them live, I mean, getting turned on to them, what was I, about 10 or 11, I guess. I was just completely immersed in what they were doing, and just saw like the visual, and like I was an Alice Cooper fan too, and I'm fourth out of 4 kids, so there's always music around the house. But then got to the point where I was just drawing Pictionary, bands, and give them a name, and this is the guy, and he plays this, and so it just all started coming together. And then once I started playing out a lot, like into my teen years, I'm like, I'm going to use a different name. I want a stage name. And I always loved Alice Cooper. And I'm like, I always loved the fact that it was a guy with a woman's name. And
yes.
I'm like, this is really cool. So I didn't know what name I was going to pick. And I was like, well, I don't really have to pick a name. And then I just started taking all my family members' names on the male side of my family. And so my brother Richard and my grandfather Manuel. I was just crossing out letters, and I was like, Rachel, perfect. What is my last name? And then I never gave it much thought. I was just Rachel in the clubs and whatever. And then one day, I'm just such a huge T-Rex fan. I'm like, I'm going to cop his last name. And that's how it all came together. And then I changed my name legally, because once Skid Row got really popular, people weren't accepting my credit cards because I had my old name on it.
Right.
And they knew me from the band, and there was just always a hassle. So I just went and changed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. First gig.
Manasquan High School in a gymnasium. It wasn't a battle of the bands, but it was 3 or 4 bands, and we each had our set times. And my band was called Magic, and of course we did a lot of Kiss. We did a couple Rod Stewart songs, and I think we did Cocaine by Eric Clapton or something like that.
Have to do cocaine in the set.
And of course we did Tush. And so
for the junior high crowd, come on.
So we did that. It was cool. But there was this one band, I think their name was Voyager or something like that. And this guitar player was phenomenal. And I don't remember the guy's name. He looked like he just got out of, a calculus class. And then he just picked up the guitar and put it on and just shredded, and everyone was just going crazy over him. I'm like, yeah, I could do this. I love this.
Wow.
Just even watching it happen for that band, I was like, I love this.
Wow. And before we get into the album, I wanted to rewind, because I wanted to talk to you about what I think is so interesting about you is you were in the music business at a time where it was business. I mean, it was just the machine.
Yeah.
And yet you are still able, all these years later, to power yourself into this next phase of who you are as an artist. Not everybody can say that.
I don't know whether it was because I was naive, and it's not like I didn't pay attention to the business side, but I always I made a promise to myself to not get overwhelmed by the business side. Like, I wanted to be the music in the music business.
And you
know what
always wanted that, correct?
Correct.
You were always kind of the different member of Skid Row to me, too. You always were the guy that looked a little more dangerous than the other guys, which was cool.
Right.
That's what rock and roll is all about. It's about danger. You have this very kind of mysterious persona, yet the girls still all liked you. I still read comments of like old school like Skid Row videos. Everyone's like, Rachel is a god. That man is like everyone came kind of right to Rachel. So you were always a very interesting member of the band. I thought different.
Yeah, I grew up listening to punk rock, and some of the guys liked it but weren't into it as much as I was.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different mindset than like heavy metal. I mean, there is a common ground, but it's a different mindset. And I'm a very simple person. I don't mean stupid. I just mean simple. I like simple stuff. I don't like drama. I don't like complicated. I don't like anything that's going to take away from creativity. So I always kind of camped out in that mindset.
And that's a survival mode.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you're a survivor.
It could be.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
And everyone loves Rachel. Like any musician you talk to is like, Rachel. That's why you have so many great guests on this record. I want to talk about the producer.
Yeah.
Because Nick Raskulinecz is such an amazing producer. Here's what I love about him. He's the sound of rock and roll without making all rock and roll sound the same.
It's so amazing. I was just having this conversation with my friend the other day, how Nick could work with someone like Skid Row, or someone like...
He did the Gangs All Here.
Or someone like the Foo Fighters, or someone like, Evanescence.
Deftones.
Yeah. And they don't have a boilerplate or a template that is Nick. Nick takes
Rush.
the band, Rush, Hailstorm,
Yep.
Stone Sour, the list goes on. And they all sound like the band he works with. It doesn't sound like something that he's just putting through the mill, because he's not. Nick is a creative force. And once he knows the band, and I speak from experience, he knows the band he works with better than the band does themselves. Like when we were doing the record with Skid Row with him, we were doing pre-production, and he just stopped us. He's like, stop. And we're all like, what? He's like, you guys sound like you forgot what it's like to be Skid Row.
Wow.
And at first I got mad, and I was like,
Who's this guy?
And I was like, we were friends already, but I was just like, man, that hurt. And I was driving back home after that day of pre-production, and I was like, he's right. He's totally right. We've been doing it so long. We need to retrace our steps, and that is really difficult. Like when your career is like at that point, like 35, 36 years in.
And that Skid Row record, by the way, is amazing.
It's one of my favorite Skid Row records, if not my favorite Skid Row record.
2023?
It came out, no, I think it was 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
Just an amazing, phenomenal Skid Row record. He just captured the band and then brought you into this whole new place. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And so he did the same thing with me with my solo stuff. I gave him all the demos, and he listened to it, and he's like, I think you need to write some more songs. And I knew that was coming, so I was fine with that. And I just got into a flow where I was writing. And two of the songs, like the second single that came out, I wrote 2 weeks before we started the record. And then the last song on the album, I finished the night before I was leaving for Nashville, and I sent it to Rob Hammersmith. I got one more song for you to learn, dude. And I sent it to Nick. I was like, you into this? He's like, yeah, we'll replace, I forgot what, we had a bunch of songs, and we were just replacing them, and then we ended up with the 11 that are on there now. And
did you always know that he would be, because this is your debut, solo album. It's called Bolan, though, which I think is, very interesting. But did you always know that Nick would be the guy you would work with?
Yeah.
The only guy?
Yeah. Like, he is one of my closest friends, and
he is?
Okay,
yeah.
We live down the street from each other in Brentwood, and so it was his idea, kind of, because I played him some stuff that I had, because there's a few songs that are like 15 years old. I was like, we were hanging out, and we always play music hanging out, and I played the songs, and he's like, you should do a solo record. Let's do it in my studio. And I was like, you'll do my solo record? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, let me see if the label wants to do it. And they were into the idea, and time opened up with Skid Row, and we just started. Once we started, it started happening really quickly. So, and working with one of your closest friends is awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's funny to watch. I think we both did it to a point where we went, good friends, right into producer and artist mode, but I trust him and his opinion with parts of songs and songs in general, to the point where there was never really any kind of friction. There was no friction. There was one thing I was like, I don't think that's not me when I'm singing, or he'd say that to me. He'd be like, yeah, that doesn't sound like you, and I'd be like, hey, that's the most friction there was, So it was great. It was such a fun experience, and I was like, being such a monumental moment and part of my career and life, for that matter, my first solo album. I was like, what's going to make this better? I'm going to bring in all my friends. I'm going to call everybody.
Your friends. And there are some friends because you've got big names like, Corey, Taylor, and Nuno. But there are also some people that kind of fly a little under the radar that maybe are not household names that have contributed so much to the sound of this record. So let's talk about some of these friends that you have on the record.
Okay.
Let's start with Danko Jones, because I think that, the collab with Danko is just incredible.
First of all, I was so happy that all these guys said yes, right? But when we were recording, it's not like I wrote songs for them or had them, like when I had the idea of, I'm going to bring people in, it was just like, okay, where, what song, And so At War With Myself, I was talking to Nick, who produced the Danko Jones record years back. I'm like, I'm going to call Danko and see if he'll sing the second verse, and then we sing the choruses together. He's like, that would be awesome. So I texted Danko, and of course he was on tour because he's always on tour. And he was in Europe, and he goes, when do you need it? I'm like, there's no rush right now. We're just recording, and I'm playing most of the parts, so it's, we're moving along, but you got time. He's like, I'll be home in 2 weeks or whatever it was for like 4 or 5 days, and I'll get it done then. So we booked him he lives in Toronto, and we booked him a studio, and Nick, it just so happens that Nick produced the bands of the guys that own the studio, which are pretty popular in Canada.
It's like 6 degrees of Nick. Always.
Yeah, exactly. So Danko walks in, he walks into the studio and he texts me. He's like, dude, these guys are from, and he says the name of the band. And I'm like, yeah, Nick produced them. And he's like, he was psyched, and they were psyched because Danko was coming there. And they had like this mutual admiration. And Danko did his part, and he's like, I'm going to video the whole thing. And I was like, absolutely. So he did that. And he sent us, the anticipation went for each person that did something remotely. I felt like a kid at Christmas because it was like, I'm getting the G.I. Joe headquarters this year, That's what it felt like. And so we'd get something, and Nick and I would listen to it. And his back was always towards me because I was sitting on the couch and he was at the console. And I'd just see him turn around like, yep, this works. And it was so great because each one that would come in, we'd get so excited about. So, and then that ended up being the first single and the first video. So I called Dank and I'm like, dude, would you fly down here for shoot a video?
Video's so cool too. He's like,
he's like
the alter ego of you at War with, War With Myself is such an anthem too. There's so many cool anthems on this record, but that's an anthem, like a custom made for live performance anthem.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just bang, bang. And he's so visual, just with his face in the camera. You had to get him in the video.
The facial expressions were killing me. He was just like, sometimes we would just start laughing. He's like, did I overdo it? I was like, no. It was awesome.
No.
But he's such a sweet guy. And, he came down. I think he was in New Jersey because we shot it in New Jersey. And I think he was here for, I don't know, 12 to 18 hours, maybe 18 hours because he flew in the day of the shoot. I picked him up. We went to the studio. We shot it. I dropped him off at the hotel at the airport, and he flew out early in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a trooper.
Yeah.
Trooper for sure.
Yeah. Corey Taylor's contribution is fantastic. Corey's got such a cool voice for punk rock, yet his pitch is so perfect. He's such an amazing, beautiful, incredible singer.
He is.
So did you just hit him up as well and just say like, hey, was it just all like texting your friends?
It
and
was
saying, like,
texting and phone calls.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how it all happened. And so I hit Corey up and I was like, are you in the country? Where are you? I don't know, because he's in 7,000 bands. So I didn't know. I didn't know if he was in the States.
Slipknot in Sao Paulo or something. Yeah. Who knows, right?
So I didn't know where he was. And he's like, I am. And I said, would you want to sing a song on my solo record? And he says, yes, absolutely. I go, you haven't heard the song yet? He goes, I'm singing it. And so I was like, awesome. And I sent it to him. He loved it. And we talked about the approach, and I go, but because to me the song that he sang on reminds me of, it has a vibe like a Sham 69 type of song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so him and I both grew up listening to the same music, And so when I said Sham 69, he's like, that's what I was thinking, like along those lines. So I flew to Vegas. I booked the studio for like 3 hours. Of course, like you were saying, he is such an amazing singer. And he did it and doubled the whole thing in like 45 minutes. And I was so blown away. And then we talked about like comic books and horror movies and punk rock for about another hour and a half until they threw us out of the studio. The engineer's like, we got another session coming in. You guys got to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing has been such a great experience, you know.
And it's such a great album.
Thank you.
Big
Thanks.
Stick, by the way, is the Corey tune. I want to talk about the song that you did with Steve Conti. Because that song is very special. There's like a real special vibe, and I didn't expect it. You know, I didn't look at titles when I downloaded it. I just wanted to listen and listen and listen, and I didn't look at who was on every track.
Right.
And Bridges really stuck out to me, and I said, "Wow, I've got to see who's on this track." Steve Conti's a very interesting artist. He's a great player. Plays in a lot of bands.
He does.
I remember first meeting him. He came on my radio show with Company of Wolves, and that's how I first met Steve. I hear that they have a record coming. They're working on a new record or something, which is crazy.
That's what I heard.
That song, like, floats above stuff. It could be in a movie. Like, there's
funny you say
something.
that.
It could be in a movie, right?
Well,
it's like magical or something. There's very big magic in that song.
In our house, and this is mainly my wife's doing, she loves John Hughes films, right?
It could be in a John Hughes film.
So, So the movies that are on loop in my house are 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, you know, Breakfast Club. I think Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Like all those great movies that I loved, you know, growing up, and she loved growing up, and I just wrote that with her in mind, and then I just always hearing these things. It kind of came out, and I'm like, and I didn't even realize it. I played it for my friend Ryan. He goes, that could be in John Hughes film, and I'm like, wow, you're right. So I wasn't sure whether I was going to put it on the record or not because it was so different than everything, but I think it's cool. It's a nice spot where you could just like take a breather, listen to a tune, and then right back into things. It's
so beautiful. It's the one song that clocks in at just a hair over 4.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them are bang, 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 bang.
That's
and this
right.
is just the one that, it's like the reset. You know, it just gives you like a breather and a surprise. Like for me, I was like, what is
Steve's
this?
vocals on it are like ridiculous.
Incredible.
Like when I was trying to think of someone to sing it, because it's not my style. I'm not like, it's my style to play. I can't sing that song. I'm not a vocalist. I'm a stylist. So we'll say that.
That's awesome though, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. So I called him. I was like, "Would you sing on this song I have?" He goes, "Send it to me." You know, in his voice, "Send it to me." You know. So I sent it to him, and he's like, "This is awesome. Yeah, I'll sing on it." And I knew his voice, that soulfulness and that smooth, you know, tone that he has, but he could really lay into things, and he does exactly that. And that was another one. Nick and I were really excited to get it back. And when he dropped the vocals in, we were like, oh yeah, this works.
Yeah, like the line is, when I'm building a bridge from your heart to mine just to keep me from standing in line. And there's just something really incredible about that song. I was like, I got to listen to that one again. That was not the one, though, that I thought Steve Conti would be on.
Right.
Because I always think of him as being so like New York gritty.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's the Steve Conti song?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, just incredible. Just
Thanks.
really, really, really fantastic. Then you get together with, you know, the guy who's kind of the MVP these days, Nuno.
Yeah.
The Noon.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. We have the same manager. I've known Nuno for, I don't know, better part of 30, 35, 32 years.
And it's so great to see him so busy again.
Again, yeah. He's a monster. You know, he's an absolute monster. And so he had so much stuff going on. And we were kind of playing phone tag, and so our manager has been managing Extreme for the better part of 25 years, I guess, something like that, Robbie Hoffman. So I was like, dude, you're going to see Nuno, just ask him for me, because I know he's a busy guy. I don't want to be that guy blowing up his phone. So he's like, yeah, I'll see. I'm talking to him in a little while. So he sent him the song, and Nuno got right back to me. He's like, I'm in. He goes, when do you need it? He goes, I got it. And I think he eventually called me, and he just said, because I was only supposed to play 4 songs at Back to the Beginning, and now I'm playing like 12 or something like that for the Sabbath show. So I have to ask him, because I'm not 100% positive, but I think, because he always carries a Pro Tools rig with him.
You think he was doing it at that period?
I think he did it. I know it was around then, but I think he may have done it in his hotel room during that, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know he did it remotely, regardless, whether it was in that hotel over there or a hotel wherever he went after that. And he crushed it. The guys, I didn't expect anything less. When we got it back, Nick is just like, oh my God, this guy's insane. And I thought the same thing. I was so happy with the way it came out. And he goes, I played a whole bunch of parts. He goes, just ideas. He goes, it's your song, just use what you want. And I used, of course, the solo and then a couple other parts, which just made the song explode.
Yeah, Jet Black Universe. So incredible. And then you have Damon Johnson.
Yeah.
Who's on a bunch of songs, doing solos on this record.
On 5, yeah.
5.
He played the solos on some of the demos for the song. So Damon and I we became fast friends. We were both opening for Van Halen, him and Brother Kane, me and Skid Row on the Balance tour.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that's when I met Damon. And,
oh, wow.
And we became running buddies, even though I was up in Jersey and he was down in Birmingham. And I drive down there, we'd go to a NASCAR race or something, and we'd write and all this, and we just stayed good friends.
He's such a good dude, too.
He's a great dude, and we saw so many changes in each other's lives, divorces and kids being born and stuff like that. And I always felt like an extended part of his family, because when he would come to town, at one time he was playing with John Waite, and his son Gabriel was just born. And he's like, you got to come see my kid. I'm staying at this hotel. So I went and saw his kid. So we've always been a big part of each other's lives. And so I called him, and he's been in Skinnerd for how many years now? Like 10 or something like that?
Yeah.
So I go, dude, I know you got a busy schedule. I go, I'm recording down at Nick's. He goes, yeah, I talked to him the other day. I go, will you play those solos that you did and maybe a couple more? He goes, I can't believe you think I'd say no. In that Damon Johnson Southern sarcasm.
He's such a good guy.
And I go...
And so about the music.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
so about the music, and I don't think he gets how amazing he actually is.
No, I don't think he does.
He's such a guitar goat,
Yeah.
And when you give him compliments, he's almost kind of like surprised by them, almost where he's like, well, I'm here because I'm doing this and I'm helping out this, and like he doesn't get it. He doesn't get how incredible he is. You watch him play it, it's just like, holy shit, this guy's unbelievable.
I know. And he came in, and I go, are 5 solos cool? He's like, would you just stop asking me? I'm here. I have my guitar. Just plug me in somewhere. So he sat on the couch, and I played him some of the old stuff that he played, because it was years ago. So a couple of the songs were almost 15 years old. So I played him those demos, and he's like, oh, yeah, I remember this. So he did it. And then actually, I don't know how, made him better. And then there were a few other songs that he had never heard before, and just ripped them apart, man. And just, he's just such a good player. It's ridiculous. And then one time I heard something, I go, dude, that sounds like an Elliot Easton type of thing. And he looks at me, and I thought I made him mad. He goes, dude, he goes, brother, that's one of the highest compliments I ever got, because Elliot Easton from the Cars is another guitar god, right?
Monster.
Yeah. So
monster. When
I said that, he took it as a compliment I meant it to be, which was nice.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got, the Skidders in.
Oh, yeah. Rob Hammersmith played drums on the whole record.
Yep.
And Scotty played on the Oasis cover. He played the solo on that, and Snake.
So glad you covered that too. You brought so much more rock and rollness to it, and it's such a cool song. And don't get me wrong, it's Oasis' song. I get it, and I like Oasis and stuff. But you guys really punked it up and rocked it out. You rocked it out a lot.
It was one of those things where I heard it on the radio, and I'm an Oasis fan, kind of on the periphery,
Yeah, me too.
But I always like them. I love Noel Gallagher. I love the High Flying Birds. Like, I think he's one of the
tremendous. He's a tremendous songwriter.
Yeah,
what a
I was just going to say he's
songwriter.
like one of the best songwriters of his generation.
Absolutely,
without
absolutely.
a doubt. So anyway, I heard the song and I heard the beginning and the slide and like the bluesy feel, and I didn't know who it was. I had never heard it before, and then soon as the vocals came in, I was like, oh, cool, this is Oasis. And that's when I tuned into the lyrics, and I was like, oh, rock and roll song. Okay, cool. I get what he's saying, because anyone that's been in a band that's had like crazy success has gone through that experience where, a fan could come up to you innocently and they expect you to be the guy that they see on TV, the guy that they see on the internet, the guy that they see videos of and on stage, and you just can't be that guy all the time. And so I had that experience, and someone actually said to me, "This is how you dress?" Because I was in jeans and my hair was pulled back and I didn't have my nose chain on and stuff like that. And I was like, sorry to disappoint you, you know what I mean? And I got it. But, of course he's saying it in that British sarcastic, snarky way, which is very similar to New Jersey. So I thought, I was like, I'm going to go home and demo this. Now, when I demoed it, I just programmed some drums, threw guitars on it, threw some vocals on it. They were done. The Oasis was done. So I sent it to Scotty. I said, can you throw a solo on this? And he sent me back the solo that it's exact now, the same one that he put on the demo. That was so incredible. And I was like, what were you thinking when you did this solo? I know you could play this kind of stuff. He goes, I don't know. Bill Haley in the Comets. He named the guitar player. Sorry, I forget the guy's name. And I was like, wow, dude, that is such a cool approach. Anyway, so Oasis was done. Probably everyone thought never to be heard from again. And then in the course of getting my solo deal, they launched this humongous, reunion tour. And we get to the studio, and I told Nick, I was like, I don't think I should do this song. He's like, why not? He's like, I said, it seems like I'm doing it. I think people are going to think I'm just seizing an opportunity. And he goes, I don't think so, man. He goes, you made it your own. It's a cool song. You didn't stray. You didn't mess up the chord structure and this and that. Well, when I took it home, I made it much faster, which took about 30 seconds off the song. That's why I dropped the solo in there, right?
Yeah.
And then Hammersmith goes to me. He goes, dude, you're going to be doing so much press. You're going to be able to explain it if you get asked about it. And he goes, and first and foremost, when did you start caring what people thought about you? And I was like, that's a good point.
And you know what? You're doing someone's song. I mean,
Yeah,
you're throwing a cover, and I think it's a really interesting cover. It's an unpredictable cover,
Yeah.
and you guys nailed it. You killed it. You made it your own. You
Thanks.
kept the song still true to what the song
Yeah,
is.
I love when bands cover songs and they
I
make
love
it.
that there was a rejuvenation of Oasis, and you
Yeah.
have the song.
Yeah,
It makes it more relevant.
It's totally cool.
Yeah, and you don't give a shit what people think.
I don't
You never
care.
thought.
No,
so
I
talk
never
to me
did.
about some of the people who were kind of behind the scenes, working with you, because you had a really good friend that was working with you.
Yeah, Ryan Cook.
He's such a good friend.
Yeah, he's one of my closest friends. And Paul Taylor. Ryan played with Gene Simmons and with Ace Frehley, and Paul Taylor actually co-wrote the song that Corey sings. So there was two
Paul
Taylors.
Taylor is
two Taylors
like-
and Bolan.
Isn't he like somebody who just blows your mind?
Yeah.
I see the things that he's done now, the artists that he's working with. I want to
Yeah.
go see John Corabi's band because he's out touring
Yeah.
with Corabi, and I'm really going because, I love Corabi, but I love all the guys that he has in the
Yeah.
band, Marty Fredrickson and
Yeah.
Paul Taylor, and he's just got this great, amazing band.
Yeah.
And, Paul flies under the radar, man, but we got to get him out there.
Yeah, so him and Ryan came in and we were doing backups together, some gang vocals and some stuff like that. Then I had my friend Matt Farley, who is he's a super chef down in Nashville, and he's an amazing singer, and he's one of those guys. He's from is he from Jersey?
I think he is.
I think he is. Yeah. So I do believe he is, and we've had this conversation a million times, but there was usually whiskey involved. So, so he was in there and he sang a bunch of harmonies, and he's one of those guys. Yeah, I play bass. Yeah, I play guitar. Yeah, I play drums. Yeah, I sing. It's like
No big deal.
one of those guys. And he did a bunch of harmonies on there. So everything, and everyone I wrote with, like my friend Erica Sellers, who was in this punk rock band that is no longer out in Nashville called Taco Mouth, we got together. Actually, we wrote the song Devil in the White during COVID. So we wrote it on Zoom and finished it in a few hours, and I demoed it up and sent it to her, and she's like, wow, this is cool. And then all this came about, and I'm like, that's going on the record, dude. Give me your publishing info. So everyone that was involved with this were friends of mine.
Yeah.
Which made it so much more special.
And so cohesive. I think that's why you can hear that. I hear this record and it doesn't seem like anything that was forced.
No.
It seems like something that's just such a natural flow. It's who you are as an artist. I've always thought of you a little more in a punk vein, but I don't want to say that I don't want to box this record. This is a rock record. It's just a straight ahead rock record.
I mean, it has the punk and pop sensibilities for sure, but I mean that was the stuff that I grew up listening to. I listened to Ramones were the first punk band I heard. From there I went to the Pistols and the Clash and the Dead Boys, and the list goes on and on and on.
And you like some of the poppier new wave things. I think we
love
had talked
new wave.
About it. And,
the Cars and Devo.
Yep.
And, that's a long list too. That song "Turning Japanese" to me is still one of the best new wave songs ever written.
Absolutely.
And the original British pop, like the Bay City Rollers and stuff like that. This was all my musical upbringing.
Yeah. All in your DNA.
DNA, that's
all
right.
In that Jersey
that's
DNA.
Right.
So when I mentioned
NJ DNA,
love it. When I mentioned, I said, it's so interesting that the album is Bolan, and people would say, well, why would she say that? But because it's not. Is it a Rachel? Is it a solo? It is your solo project, but is it potentially going to grow into a band? Maybe something that you keep going, maybe opening up for somebody, maybe going on tour with Bolan and having,
it's that's the objective. I mean, it always is. This isn't just like a one-off thing. I want to do more records, and hopefully with the success that may come with this one, and if we keep getting the response that I've been getting, I hope to get out on the road. Yeah, go out on the road as support or something, or just do a bunch of cool shows and cool venues, and then take it from there. But I do have a day job with Skid Row, so I got to work around that.
Yeah.
But I already started writing for another record, so.
Woohoo!
Yeah, man.
But I think that I think you're at a point in your life too where you can manage both.
Absolutely.
It's doable. It's manageable for you. And I mean, look, how you've been busy with Skid Row. You're looking for a singer. How many? Dare I even ask you how many audition? And oh my God,
Well,
I love the people I see on social media. Some are okay, some are not okay. This cannot be easy, is what I'm saying, because people are probably hitting you up left and right, and then saying, "I can't believe you didn't like my audition," and blah blah blah. And I've seen more bad auditions than good auditions. You work with Sweetwater, and that had to be a plethora, but there has to be even more.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched about over 300 submissions.
Yikes.
And it's a lot. And that doesn't even count the stuff outside the Sweetwater campaign where people, friends were like, hey, you got to go check this guy out. I saw him, friends from other bands see people that play or sing, and they covered Skid Row. You got to go see this guy. He crushed it. And this girl, they crushed it, whatever it is. So the point we're at now is we're still accepting submissions and going through them. We're down. We have a few people that we want to bring to the next phase of things, is get in a room with them and see how that goes, like a live, playing live together. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But we have the luxury of time. We're not in the middle of a record like we were last time. We don't have a tour booked. I can't foresee Skid Row doing anything on the road before 2027. However, if we ended up with a singer tonight, things would get together and start rolling pretty quickly.
Is it a feeling more than a vocal performance?
Little column A, little column B, they have to have strong pipes, because our stuff is that's the way we write. We write, and that's that, You
got to sing the catalog, kids.
You got to get that back catalog going. But we need someone that understands what's involved. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I dream of going on the road and this and that. I'm like, that's great to say, except we've been doing it for 40 years. You haven't. It's going to be a lot different. But it's fine. I love seeing the enthusiasm of everyone. And even people that send something in that is, terrible, I give them credit because they put their stuff
This is what you're doing
on the internet.
You're rejuvenating.
Yeah.
Right. See, the internet is
that's
good
such
and
a
bad.
brutal place.
It's a brutal place, but the good part is there are people that probably never thought that they could or they would, and then they say, you know what, maybe I should.
Yeah.
And it changes the game because it gives people a little bit of bravery.
Yeah.
And that can take them, it's not, maybe not the Skid Row gig, but can take them to something
else. Or start their own band,
This is one of the few things that I really love about the internet and social media is I love to see like these young kids doing their own little guitar clinic.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, who the fuck is this kid? Look at this kid. He's like 12.
Yeah.
He's insane.
Yeah, I know.
I love that people can set it up and say, here's who I am. And you know what? The criticism isn't bad. Because you're going to always get criticism.
Yeah.
You're going to get criticism in a studio, and you're going to get criticism on the road. So it's nice to see, the everybody doesn't get a gold star.
It definitely builds character.
It can build some character,
Yeah.
and it can get you, toughen up your skin a little bit.
I was going to say, thicken your skin for sure. Yeah.
But I love that you are kind of doing that and saying, like, look, we don't know who we want.
Yeah.
So you know what? Dazzle us.
Yeah, exactly.
Give us something.
The only downside of it is I don't know how my email got out, but I get stuff from, I've got some emails from people that I'm like, well, I don't know who this person is. I'm not going to answer them because, I don't know this person. That they're very abrasive. And I'm just like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Hope they don't have my home address.
The keyboard warriors are always very active, and they will always hit you up.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, God, it has to be really a tough thing, a hard
tough.
thing.
It's tough, for sure.
I see the auditions pop up on YouTube or on social media, and I'm like, do I dare click it? And some people are quite good.
Yeah.
I love the females. Lizzie inspired some women.
Absolutely.
To get out there.
Yep.
And you and I discussed when she came in, and I thought it was a real magical night in Jersey. My radio station was there for the show at PNC, and you came out, and it was just beautiful to see you guys playing together in New Jersey.
It was
just amazing and incredible. And her inspiration, and then your inspiration in looking for a vocalist, I think has been...
It's been wild.
Cool. Yeah.
Been really wild.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about New Jersey. What was your favorite club?
My favorite club. Well, growing up, there was the Chatterbox on Seaside. You're familiar?
So much fun on the boards.
I used to play there quite a bit when I was in high school.
They were always tough with IDs. We
Really
always
tough.
knew the ID clubs that were tough.
Yeah, I had to come in through the side door behind a
Did
road
you?
case or in a road case, and I'd have to come behind and push it, get my stuff out really quick, sit in the dressing room.
The legendary Chatterbox.
Get out, play a set, go back in the dressing room. And then they found out that I was only like 17. And
Well, they didn't know.
No, they had no idea. And then once they found out, the drummer came in and he's like, man, we got a huge problem.
Rachel was on the log flume on the other side of the boardwalk after that.
So I was like, he goes, we might not be able to do this show. And I was like, the guy came back and he's like, you stay in here. No beer comes in here. No booze comes in here.
That's
this
the right
and that.
thing. That's the right thing to do.
And so I'm like, all right, cool. And I would sit that whole, every break in between there. I'd do my stuff, go sit. And then we'd load out. We had Sunday nights. And we'd load out at 1, dump the stuff off at the drummer's house. I'd be home by 3 o'clock and have to be at school by 6:30. I'd still go in with
Those were the days.
eyeliner on.
Weren't those the greatest days, though? I did the
Yeah.
same thing. You drop your friends off at 3 in the morning and picking them up at 7:30 for school in my white Camaro. Let's go take a test, kids.
That's right.
We were
That's right.
going to see TT Quick the night before.
That's right. Yep.
At the Arrow Lounge or something.
Yep.
My
Yep.
favorite club was... God, I had so many, but I'm going to say Fountain Casino for the pure reason that I could see Twisted Sister on one side, and then go like on the other side. And we snuck into that one, but that was an easy haul where you just had somebody bring you the ID and I was already in and blah blah blah. We looked like we were like 9,
Yeah,
so
right,
I don't even know how we got in.
Yeah.
But then they had the partition up.
Yeah.
So then you'd be telecommunication because you'd be dancing a flock of seagulls.
That's right.
In between the Twisted Sister songs and drinking Alabama Slammers for $2.
Yeah.
It was like insane.
I used to see TT Quick there quite a bit, and that's actually the first time I met Snake was at the Fountain Casino.
Wow.
Not much. We didn't talk much. He was talking to my guitar player because his band was leaving because he was moving to California. He was chasing his dream to California. I met him real briefly, and that was that. And then years and years and years later, I meet him again at the music store in Toms River at Garden State Music, and then we form a band.
Garden State Music was really the hub of people coming together. You and Snake and Zach Wild
Scotty worked there.
And this like really cool little music store, Toms River, New Jersey, where everybody kind of went and lived the dream. And I think there was a sense of community that I always bring to the forefront because it's very special for me to interview people from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. That's why when I like nicely hit up Rachel, like, will you do my new podcast? And he's like, absolutely, let's hook it up. And I said, we could do it live. We could do a Zoom. Like, I don't really want to do it live. And he's like, no, let's do it live. Because there's a chemistry I get with people from New Jersey that
absolutely.
There's just a special vibe that you get. You feel like this person's one of me and I'm one of them. And there's just something about the scrappiness, our scrappy nature of
that we do definitely have.
Of what we have. You know, I think I chatted with Steve Brown about this, Steve from Trickster, and he said, I didn't really give a shit when Trickster blew up. I did jingles and I played in a million other bands because I love what I do. Right. And there's a scrappiness to us where we don't mind getting gritty and just doing what we do to kind of keep the balls rolling, and that's a Jersey grit that we have.
It's like I think we're always in survival mode. You know what I mean? It's just
little pissed off. There's always that little wire that you can get us where we're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't do that.
You're not going to wave when I let you cut in front of me?
Yeah, thank you very much. You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's like,
right.
So, Jersey is definitely a special place, and we're a bit different. We've been the butt of jokes for ever.
Always will be.
But and we always will be. But it's still, when I came back, I immediately felt comfortable, and like I reconnected with a couple friends that we talk over the years, but it's like we kind of picked up the same stupid, played out, tired jokes that every day we do the same thing, and it feels perfectly normal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what made you come back? You were in Nashville, and everyone's in Nashville. Hard rock is in Nashville now. Everybody's in Nashville doing music, and I've had some people say to me, like, I'm in Nashville. I really want to leave. I really want to go back to Canada or wherever they're from. It takes a lot of balls, to pick up and say, you know what? I think I'm going to go back to the roots. Yeah, it
family was one thing. Food was another. My family's up here, which I was never seeing except sometimes on Christmas. And now my nephew lives not far from me, and he's an adult. Obviously, he's 47 or something. So we get to hang out all the time. I get to see my sister all the time and talk to my brother all the time. So family and my wife's a couple of her kids who are grown live in Pennsylvania. So it was all like family was the first motivation, and then it was food. Because as great as Nashville might be and fun as it might be, it's not a food town. No pizza, no Italian food, no good Chinese food. No. So, but
not like here.
Saying goodbye to saying I'm moving to my friends was like one of the hardest things I had to do.
You were there over 20 years, right?
Well, no, I was there for 10. I was in Atlanta for 14.
14,
then 10 years in Nashville. But Ryan Cook, my friend Jay Lincecum, Paul Taylor, Nick, and some other friends, I was just like, that was the hardest thing. I felt like I was breaking up with someone. I was just like, hey man, what are you doing tonight? Let's grab a beer. I got to talk to you about something. And it was like that, and I was so nervous, and there was just like, man, why do you have to leave? And I'm like, I know, it's just something I want to do, you know. But, you know, we still keep in touch. Obviously, Nick produced my record, you know, went down to Nashville, did that. But, yeah, I get to see the guys when they're up here playing. That's a good thing. And they're musicians that they're always on the road. So that's good. And I make frequent trips down as well.
I love it. I love it. I am so glad that we had the opportunity to connect, that you came up to northern New Jersey, Catfight Coffee. Isn't this a cool place?
It's awesome. It's awesome. I've only seen it online, but what a cool vibe in here.
It's a great vibe. You know, there's everybody's welcome. I came here to do one podcast, and I literally like texted AC Slade, and I was like, hi, we're coming back to do more, so we're going to invade your space, so I hope you don't mind. And he's like, my space is your space. But yeah, there's just a really super cool vibe here, and I'm so excited for your first ever solo record. Man,
Thanks.
You could not have come out of the gate with a stronger piece of music.
Thanks.
11 tracks, in your face, killer storytelling, great songwriting, a plethora of amazing musicians, and the tracks that don't have your friends on them that are just Rachel tracks are pretty fucking amazing too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, June 12th, big day for me.
June 12th. What are you going to feel like on the 11th? And I always ask artists too, when the baby is born, 'cause, you know, the record is like a baby, and when the baby is born, there's almost like a little bit of an anticlimactic feel then, because, you know, the anticipation of the baby coming is coming. So what do you do on release day? Anything special?
Well, I'm making sure that I'm busy, like the 11th, 12th, and 13th. I'm like, I have other stuff to do, so I'm not completely thinking about that all day, because, you know, sometimes I get these thoughts. I'm like, well, what if it does this? And I can't think like that. I need to keep myself grounded and stay in reality, you know what I mean? And just see what happens. So I'm excited. The response to the first two singles have been incredible.
It's a record that rock needs, because it's a rock record. It doesn't sound like everything else. The problem sometimes we get into with music, and you know, being in Skid Row, is everybody wants 8 of one band.
Of the same
you know,
band,
you guys were not that band, by the way. We'll kind of end it by saying, I always felt that the bands that came out in the later part of the 80s got really super screwed, because the hair stuff was what was happening, so everybody got lumped into it. Skid Row couldn't have been further from being a hair band.
Yeah, we had a lot of hair, but that was about it. I thought we were a bit grittier than a lot of the stuff that was out there, and a lot of stuff out there
gets like pinned as being a hair band. I'm like, are you people nuts, or Tesla?
I know.
I felt so bad for the guys in Tesla when they were glamming them up. I'm like, these guys are blues rockers. What are you doing? So, you know, I think you've come from this place where you've always been really true to who you are.
Yeah, that's the only way I know how to operate.
Yeah, and
this
record is very reflective of that. It's like a full circle moment for you, my friend.
It is. It really is.
Yeah,
for sure.
The Gargoyle of the Garden State. And I have him on the Carr Stereo Podcast. Rachel, it has been just a little slice of heaven for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks. No problem. Anytime.
Hey guys, this is AC Slade from Catfight Coffee, and Catfight Coffee is the home for misfits and outcasts in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, New York City, wherever it is that you might be, this is your place to fit in if you feel like you don't belong anywhere. So what does Catfight Coffee do? We've got a lot of great events. They're usually on Saturday nights. We have everything from arts and crafts nights, which are a little bit more alternative driven. So the arts and craft nights are usually like punk rock collage nights, sewing patches on your battle vest. We've got horror movie nights. We've got all kinds of really cool themes. Horror book nights, punk rock book nights. We did an event with Punk Rock Saves Lives. So it's all geared towards people in our community, goth, heavy metal, punk, whatever it is. If you feel like you don't fit in, this is the spot for you. Cheers.